The most significant moment in human history happened during the morning rush at a coffee shop in Portland, Oregon. Zara Harrison was in the middle of crafting her signature lavender latte when the air inside Cosmic Bean's coffee shop crystallized into geometric patterns. The customers, mostly regulars from nearby tech startups, barely looked up from their laptops. This was Portland, after all, weird was normal. But even by local standards, the 7-foot-tall luminescent beings that materialized next to the pastry display case were pushing it. "Greetings, purveyor of consciousness-altering beverages," the tallest entity said, its voice resonating like wind chimes in a digital storm. "We seek your expertise in matters most urgent." Zara adjusted her apron, tucked a strand of her dyed blue hair behind her ear, and did what any seasoned barista would do when faced with unusual customers. "Would you like to hear about our daily specials?" The entities, who introduced themselves as the Collective of Advanced Civilization's Emergency Response Team, CASERT, explained their predicament. The universe was facing an unprecedented crisis, a cascade failure in the cosmic fabric that regulated energy distribution across galaxies. Their most advanced technology had failed to solve it, and their predictive models had led them to Earth, specifically to this coffee shop. "Our quantum algorithms indicated that human ingenuity, particularly in creating order from chaos, might offer a solution," explained Commissioner HFY, whose form shifted between purple and green. "And your establishment appeared as a nexus of human problem-solving methodology." Zara looked around her coffee shop. The morning rush was always chaos, true, but she developed systems to handle it. The way she organized drink preparation, the specific arrangement of supplies, the methods for handling multiple orders simultaneously. "Show me your energy distribution systems," she said, pulling out the tablet she usually used for inventory management. The aliens projected a holographic model of the universe's energy flow patterns. Zara studied it while automatically making a triple-shot espresso for Dave, her regular customer who coded better with dangerous amounts of caffeine. The pattern looked familiar, like the way coffee orders could back up during rush hour if not properly managed. "You're trying to push everything through central distribution points," she observed, pointing at the glowing nodes in the model. "That's like trying to make every drink through one espresso machine. You need to decentralize." The aliens watched in fascination as Zara grabbed coffee beans and sugar packets, arranging them on the counter to demonstrate her point. She explained how she'd reorganized her shop's workflow after a particularly chaotic holiday season, creating multiple stations and backup systems. "See, if one system gets overwhelmed, you need overflow channels," she demonstrated, pouring coffee between cups. "And you need buffer zones, like having extra milk pitchers during rush hour. Your energy distribution needs similar flexibility." The aliens' forms flickered with what might have been excitement. They began rapid calculations, their bodies pulsing with light. This could work," Commissioner HFY exclaimed. "The mathematics align perfectly. We never considered such a simple solution." "Sometimes the best solutions come from everyday problems," Zara shrugged, starting on Mrs. Peterson's usual soy chai latte. "When you deal with morning rush hour every day, you learn a thing or two about managing chaos." The next few hours were a blur of cosmic calculations and coffee making. The aliens adapted Zara's coffee shop management principles into a universal energy distribution model, while she kept the regular customers caffeinated and mostly undisturbed by the presence of interdimensional beings. By closing time, CASERT had implemented the new system across 3 galaxies, with promising results. They offered Zara a position as Chief Systems Architect for the Universal Energy Distribution Network. "I appreciate the offer," she said, wiping down the counter, "but I've got a pretty good thing going here. Though I wouldn't mind consulting on the side. Maybe we could set up a weekly meeting. I make a mean intergalactic mocha." As the aliens departed, promising to return for next week's consultation, and more of those fascinating circular sweet compounds, donuts, Zara updated the shop's window sign. Under "Today's Specials," she added, "Universal Problem-Solving Services, available upon request." Dave, still coding in the corner, finally looked up from his laptop. Interesting morning. Just the usual, Zara replied, starting the evening cleanup. Though we might need to stock up on more donuts. I think we're about to get some regular customers from out of town. Way out of town. Dr. Raj Patel was known at the Bangalore Institute of Technology for two things: his brilliantly unorthodox approaches to engineering problems and his complete inability to keep plants alive. The latter made it particularly ironic when the fate of countless alien worlds' ecosystems landed in his hands. "Your artificial suns are failing?" he asked, adjusting his round spectacles as he stared at the holographic presentation floating above his cluttered desk. The alien delegation, a group of beings that looked like abstract art made of light and mist, bobbed in affirmation. Ambassador Lumth, their spokesperson, elaborated, 17 civilizations depend on our artificial star network. Each synthetic sun requires immense energy to maintain stable fusion. Our reserves are depleting faster than anticipated. Raj leaned back in his creaky office chair, absently fiddling with a broken solar calculator he'd been meaning to fix. The aliens had already explained how their most advanced fusion containment systems were failing. Their artificial suns, massive engineering marvels that powered entire solar systems, were becoming unstable. "Show me again how your current system works," he said, clearing a space on his desk by pushing aside stacks of papers and half-assembled gadgets. The aliens projected a detailed schematic of their star manufacturing process. "Fascinating," Raj mumbled, picking up the solar calculator again. "You're approaching this like engineers trying to build a sun. But what if we thought about it like farmers tending a garden?" He paused, chuckling at the irony of his own metaphor given his notorious black thumb. The aliens' forms flickered in what he'd learned was confusion. "We don't understand the correlation," Lumth said. Raj stood up, excitement building as the idea took shape. "Look at this," he held up the solar calculator. "Simple technology, yes. But it works because it follows natural principles. Your artificial suns are fighting against cosmic nature. Instead of building contained fusion reactors, what if we cultivated them?" He grabbed a marker and began drawing on his office window, using the glass as a transparent board. "See, stars naturally form in nebulae. Instead of constructing suns from scratch, we could create artificial nebulae, cosmic nurseries. Guide the natural star formation process rather than forcing it." The aliens watched as he outlined his concept, using their existing technology to gather cosmic gases and dust, but instead of forcing immediate fusion, creating conditions for stars to form naturally, just accelerated through carefully controlled electromagnetic fields and gravity wells. "Like a greenhouse for baby suns," he grinned, then added apologetically, "though perhaps I'm not the best person to use gardening metaphors." The aliens' light patterns began pulsing rapidly, their equivalent of excited chatter. "But the formation process would take millions of years," one objected. "Not necessarily," Raj countered, pulling up data on his tablet. "Earth scientists have observed stellar formation in detail. We understand the principles. With your advanced technology, we could create perfect conditions and accelerate the process dramatically. Instead of fighting cosmic forces, we'd be channeling them." He spent the next several hours outlining his plan, using everything from rubber bands to paper clips to demonstrate various concepts. The aliens were particularly fascinated by his impromptu demonstration of gravitational principles using a coffee cup and a spinning paperclip. "Your approach is unprecedented," Lumth finally said. "Our civilizations have always sought to conquer natural forces, to impose our will upon them. The idea of working with them, of cultivating rather than constructing. Sometimes the best solutions come from stepping back and looking at the problem differently," Raj said, realizing he'd drawn all over every available surface in his office. "In engineering, the simplest solution is often the best one." The implementation took months of work, converting massive stellar engineering facilities into what Raj jokingly called star nurseries. The first test was conducted in a remote sector of space. They watched through quantum telescopes as gases coalesced, sparked, and ignited, a new star born in weeks rather than millions of years. Remarkable, Loom-th whispered as the young star stabilized, its warm light spreading across the viewing chamber. And the energy cost is a fraction of our old method. Raj nodded, quietly proud. The universe knows how to build stars better than we ever could. We just needed to give it a little help. He paused, then added with a self-deprecating smile, though I still maintain this doesn't mean I'll have any better luck with houseplants. As news of the success spread, other civilizations began requesting Earth's consultation on similar projects. The Bangalore Institute of Technology soon established an entire department dedicated to what they called cosmic agricultural engineering. And in Raja's office, a small potted plant, a gift from the grateful aliens, somehow managed to thrive, its leaves shifting through impossible colors as it photosynthesized light from a dozen different artificial suns. Rook Thompson spent 15 years as a quantum mechanic in her grandmother's garage in Detroit before the universe came calling. Her specialty was fixing things that, technically speaking, couldn't break, because they existed in multiple states simultaneously. "So you're telling me the quantum fabric of spacetime is unraveling?" she asked, not looking up from the quantum-entangled engine she was currently adjusting with a modified wrench. The holographic alien representative, who had introduced himself as Observer Quantum 9, bobbed in agreement. "Our civilization has detected microscopic tears in reality itself. These ruptures are spreading, threatening to destabilize entire sectors of space." The observer's form flickered anxiously. "Our most sophisticated quantum computers cannot even analyze the problem without becoming part of it." Rook wiped her hands on her oil-stained coveralls and finally looked up. Her workshop walls were covered in equations and diagrams that would have made most physicists question their career choices. "Show me," she said. The observer projected a real-time feed of the quantum tears. To most people, they would have looked like static in the air, but Rook had spent years training her eyes to see quantum fluctuations. These weren't just tears, they were more like unraveling threads in a cosmic sweater. "Huh," she said, reaching for her tablet. "Reminds me of that time I had to fix Mrs. Jenkins' quantum state refrigerator. The thing was trying to exist in every temperature at once." The observer's form pulsed with confusion. "I failed to see the correlation between a domestic appliance and the fundamental fabric of reality." Rook grinned, her dark eyes sparkling with the reflection of quantum calculations. "Everything's connected, especially at the quantum level. These tears." She manipulated the holographic display with practiced ease, "They're not random. They're following a pattern, like a snag in fabric." She walked over to a cluttered workbench and began assembling something from what looked like spare parts. "Your quantum computers can't analyze it because they're too complex. They're trying to observe every possible state at once. Sometimes you need to look at things simply." The device she was building looked like a cross between a microscope and a sewing machine. "I call it a quantum weaver," she explained. "Instead of trying to observe all states simultaneously, it follows the thread of probability that's actually unraveling." The observer watched in fascination as she calibrated the device. "But our calculations indicate that any attempt to manipulate quantum tears would only accelerate the breakdown." "That's because you're trying to force them closed," Rook said, making final adjustments. "But quantum mechanics is weird. Sometimes you need to work with the uncertainty." She activated the device, and a beam of impossible light connected with the nearest quantum tear. On the holographic display, they watched as the tear began to knit itself together. "See?" Rook explained, "Instead of fighting the uncertainty, we're using it. The quantum weaver creates a state of possibility where the fabric wants to repair itself." Over the next few weeks, Rook taught teams of alien quantum scientists how to build and operate quantum weavers. She insisted on using physical components rather than purely energy-based technology. "Sometimes you need something solid to grab onto," she explained, "even when dealing with probability waves. The aliens were particularly puzzled by her insistence on including what she called a luck gauge in each device. Quantum mechanics involves probability, she told them. And sometimes you need to know which way your luck is flowing. As the quantum tears began healing across the galaxy, Observer Quantum 9 made a final visit to her workshop. Your solution defies our most advanced theoretical models, they said. How did you know it would work? Rook shrugged, already elbow-deep in another impossible repair job. Growing up fixing quantum engines in Detroit, you learn that sometimes the best theory is whatever keeps things running. The universe doesn't care about our models, it just wants to work right. She paused, considering. Besides, my grandmother always said that fixing things is about understanding their nature. Quantum mechanics might be uncertain, but it's not random. Everything wants to be whole, sometimes it just needs a little help finding its way back together. The observer's form flickered thoughtfully. Your grandmother sounds wise. Wisest quantum mechanic in Detroit, Rook agreed. She taught me that whether you're fixing a quantum engine or the fabric of reality itself, the principles are the same: respect the nature of what you're working with, keep your tools clean, and always trust your luck gauge. As the observer departed, Rook turned back to her current project, a toaster that was supposedly toasting bread in parallel universes. Just another day at the office for a quantum mechanic who'd helped stitch reality back together. On her wall, among the complex equations and diagrams, hung a simple sign that read, Thompson's Quantum Repair Shop. If it exists in any state, we can fix it. The human touch. Thomas Rivera never meant to become a galactic diplomat. As a conflict resolution specialist in Baltimore's school system, he specialized in helping teenagers work through their differences. But when two advanced alien civilizations stood on the brink of war over a misunderstanding about space-time etiquette, Earth's newest allies remembered something crucial: humans were experts at handling awkward social situations. Let me get this straight, Thomas said, sitting in what appeared to be a conference room made of living crystal. The harmonious collective of light beings is threatening war because the Quantum Consciousness Federation didn't acknowledge their temporal greeting protocol. Ambassador Krill, a being of pure energy contained within an ornate mechanical frame, bobbed in affirmation. They extended their consciousness across 3 temporal dimensions to say hello, and the QCF merely responded in current time-space. It's an unforgivable insult. Thomas rubbed his temples. After 15 years of mediating cafeteria disputes and prom drama, he thought he'd seen every kind of social conflict possible. Apparently, the universe had other ideas. Okay, he said, pulling out his trusty notebook, analog, because some alien species got nervous around tablets. Walk me through exactly what happened, from your perspective. As Krill explained the intricacies of multidimensional social protocols, Thomas took notes and noticed something familiar. This wasn't so different from the time he had to resolve a dispute between the drama club and the physics club over who had rights to use the auditorium's spacetime continuum. It made sense in context. Have you considered, Thomas ventured carefully, that the QCF might experience time differently than your people? That what seems like a simple greeting to you might be overwhelming for them. The ambassador's energy field flickered. But their civilization exists across multiple quantum states simultaneously. Surely they understand temporal etiquette. Understanding something and being comfortable with it are two different things, Thomas explained, thinking of countless teenage social anxieties he'd helped navigate. It's like, imagine someone offering you a handshake when your hands are full. You see the gesture, you appreciate it, but you can't reciprocate in the same way. He spent the next several hours shuttling between the two species, listening to their perspectives and drawing upon his years of experience helping young people understand each other. The Quantum Consciousness Federation, it turned out, experienced time as a simultaneous explosion of possibilities, making linear temporal greetings feel invasive. Meanwhile, the harmonious collective valued the personal touch of reaching across time itself to say hello. What if, Thomas suggested during a joint session, we created a new protocol? Something that respects both ways of experiencing reality. His solution was elegantly simple: a quantum temporal embassy where greetings could be exchanged in ways comfortable for both species. The harmonious collective could extend their consciousness across time as they preferred, while the QCF could respond through quantum probability waves, their natural state of being. It's like having a bilingual conversation, Thomas explained. Nobody has to change who they are, they just need a space where both languages are welcome. The tension between the civilizations began to ease. Soon, they were sharing cultural exchanges, with the harmonious collective learning to appreciate the beauty of simultaneous quantum states, while the QCF discovered the joy of linear temporal art forms. Word spread through the galactic community about the human who could bridge not just cultural gaps, but gaps in the nature of reality itself. Thomas found himself being called to mediate increasingly bizarre conflicts, a dispute between a civilization that experienced emotion as color and one that communicated through gravitational waves, a misunderstanding between beings of pure mathematics and creatures that existed as living music. Through it all, he kept using the same principles he'd developed helping teenagers navigate their social lives. Listen first, he would say. Try to understand not just what someone is saying, but how they need to say it. And always make sure everyone has a comfortable way to express themselves. One day, while helping resolve a philosophical disagreement between temporal philosophers and quantum poets, Thomas received a message from his old school. They were having trouble with students from different dimensions not getting along in the newly integrated multi-universal cafeteria. He smiled, packed his notebook, and headed back to Earth. After all, whether you're dealing with teenage drama or cosmic conflicts, the principles of understanding and respect remain the same. In his office at the Galactic Embassy, he hung a modified version of the sign that had once decorated his school counselor's office: no conflict is too small, no difference too vast, understanding transcends all dimensions. Legacy of innovation. When the message arrived about the end of everything, it came not to Earth's governments or scientific institutions, but simultaneously to a coffee shop in Portland, a quantum repair shop in Detroit, an engineering office in Bangalore, and a school counselor's office in Baltimore. The universe had learned to trust human ingenuity, especially when packaged in unexpected forms. The fundamental forces are decoupling, explained Grand Observer XY, their crystalline form projecting diagrams across Zara's coffee shop after hours. Gravity, electromagnetism, the strong and weak nuclear forces, they're pulling apart like a badly made espresso separating in the cup, Zara finished, already reaching for her tablet to take notes. Through quantum-linked displays, she could see the others, Rook with her quantum tools spread out before her, Dr. Raj surrounded by calculations, and Thomas calmly taking notes in his ever-present notebook. Every advanced civilization has tried to solve this, XY continued. But our attempts to force the forces back together only accelerate the separation. We need a human solution, they all said together. The problem was unprecedented. The very forces that held reality together were unraveling, but not uniformly. Each force was decaying at a different rate in different parts of the universe. Advanced alien civilizations had tried everything from quantum stabilizers to temporal locks, but nothing worked. It's like trying to hold water with a net, Rook observed, studying the quantum readings. The harder you squeeze, the faster it slips away. Because we're thinking about it wrong, Raj interjected, his window covered in new equations. We're trying to force these forces to stay together, but what if we thought about it like making a perfect cup of coffee, Zara said suddenly. You can't force the elements to blend, you have to create the right conditions for them to want to come together. Like helping students find common ground, Thomas added. You don't force connections, you nurture them. Over the next several days, they worked together, each bringing their unique perspective to the problem. Zara's understanding of flow and balance, Rook's expertise in quantum mechanics, Raj's grasp of cosmic engineering, and Thomas's insight into the nature of connections, all of it began to form into something new. It's not about forcing the forces back together, Rook explained to a chamber full of alien scientists. It's about creating harmony between them. Like tuning instruments in an orchestra. Their solution was beautifully human in its complexity and simplicity. Using Raja's star nursery technology, they created cosmic incubators where the fundamental forces could naturally re-establish their relationships. Rook's quantum weavers helped stabilize the connections, while Zara's flow management principles ensured proper balance. Thomas's understanding of mediation helped them design spaces where the forces could communicate effectively. "We're not fixing the universe," Zara explained to her regular customers, who had grown used to cosmic discussions over their morning coffee. "We're helping it remember how to fix itself." The implementation was the largest cooperative effort in universal history. Civilizations that had never worked together found themselves collaborating, guided by human principles of practical problem solving. The process wasn't instant, you couldn't rush the fundamental forces of nature, but it was working. One morning, as they monitored the universal reconnection from their respective locations on Earth, Thomas voiced what they were all thinking: "It's interesting that with all the advanced civilizations out there, it took human approaches to solve these cosmic problems." "Not really," Zara replied, crafting her signature lavender latte. "Humans have something special, we never forget that the simplest solutions often work best, even for the biggest problems. And we're not afraid to try crazy ideas," Rook added, tinkering with a quantum stabilizer. "Plus, we understand that everything in the universe is connected," Raj concluded, "even if we can't see the connections at first." As the fundamental forces began stabilizing across the cosmos, alien civilizations started establishing what they called human thinking centers, places where they could approach problems with human creativity and practical wisdom. Earth found itself becoming not just a member of the galactic community, but a teacher of sorts. In Zara's coffee shop, a new sign appeared next to the daily specials: "Today's special, universal harmony, best served with a side of human ingenuity." Below it, written in smaller text, "Solutions to cosmic problems available upon request. No problem too big, no solution too simple." The universe, it seemed, had finally discovered what humans had known all along: sometimes the best answers come not from the most advanced technology or the most complex theories, but from the simple wisdom of solving everyday problems, one cup of coffee at a time.